Hey everyone, it's Joy here for ReverseConfetti. For my project today, I did some stamping on acetate with Stazon ink, and it is so pretty. So this is the stamp set I'm going to use, the beautiful Roses stamp set. There is coordinating dies for this, but I'm not going to be using that. I want to create a gorgeous background because I want to stamp that rose image onto the acetate. So obviously, because it's clear, you're going to see through. I'm going to be using some white Stazon ink to accomplish this. So like I said, let's do this background. I'm going to ink it up first. This is just white cardstock with Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide ink. I'm not super fussy if it's, I don't really care if it's super neat because we're going to be using some Distress Oxide sprays to spray over this. I really love like teals and turquoise with oranges or like apricot colors. I think that is so pretty. So I thought if I brought in Spiced Marmalade, it would also bring in a little bit of autumn because it's kind of right around the corner. So I'm going to start with that. But then I also had to bring in some Kitsch Flamingo because it's still summertime. So I was trying to live in both worlds, I guess. So I sprayed that down just a little bit, and then I like to use my heat tool to dry it. I have two settings on my heat tool. I just did it on low just to dry before I spray the next spray because I didn't want it to mix and get muddy. And I just kind of worked on this for a minute, going back and forth between spraying. Now, it had kind of a clump of stuff here. I wanted to leave a good amount of teal. And the top got kind of yellowy green, so I brought in more of that Salvaged Patina just briefly to blend at the top. And then I decided to add a little bit more. So instead of spraying, I'm just taking out that whole top piece and just tapping it off like you would with a paintbrush, which is going to leave some bigger dots, which is what I was going for. And then after I dry this, I flip it around so I can kind of work up the one side just a little bit because I don't want it to be like half and half, you know, like turquoise on the top and orange and pink on the bottom. I didn't like that. So I'm bringing that orange up just a little bit on the side there. And as you can see, it takes a second, and there's no right or wrong. I think it's just what you like or what the look that you're going for. But isn't that so pretty? Okay, so in my mini MISTI, I have a piece of acetate. This is Judikins Embossable Acetate, and I'm using the stamp from the Roses stamp set. It's one large stamp, which is perfect for a card like this. And then I'm using the sentiment that says, "You are so dear to me." I'm going to put that on the top and then have the roses down underneath. I'm making sure that everything is lined up nice and straight. And then, like I said, I'm using Stazon ink. You need to use a Stazon ink when you are stamping onto anything other than paper, like a non-porous surface. Any other ink is just not going to dry. It's just going to float on top and smear. And this does not. I didn't touch it for a couple minutes because I didn't want to take a chance on if it wasn't like dry completely yet. But my acetate would stick to it and I'd pull it out. But that's how it's going to look. But I did want to stamp it one more time, so I lined it back up in the mini MISTI, put my magnets in place, and then just inked that up again. And to clean this off your stamp, you do need a Stazon stamp cleaner, which I do have. Otherwise, the ink is just going to stay on your stamps as well. But now we've got this beautiful background. So I decided to use a hole punch. I'm going to punch 2 holes. And also this card is A2 sized. And those acetate sheets come in A2 size. So I'm punching 2 holes because normally I would put a sentiment or another image on top of here that I could hide my adhesive behind. My mind drew a blank. I could hide my adhesive behind, but I can't do that with this card. So I'm going to bring in some gold twine or string, and I just doubled it over. And I'm going to stick it through the one side, put it through the other, and then crisscross it in the back and pull them through one more time on the opposite sides. That way I could tie a little bow in the front. So this is the only spot it's going to be hooked at for the acetate to the back part, which is totally fine. And it absolutely works. But it's kind of fun and genius, and you can end up lifting up the acetate. If you wanted to just have like a note card essentially, instead of like a folding card, you could add another piece of white cardstock behind this because this will show a little bit of that inking that we did. But I actually added this to an A2 size card base. So I'm going to tie a little bow, which I realize that that is just not my forte. I am not a good bow tire. Like some people can tie bows and I'm like, that looks gorgeous. It is just not me. But that little pop of gold at the top is so pretty. Look at how stunning this is. Now I did decide to add a few sequins to this just to kind of jazz up the front a little bit. But I love that you can see that beautiful roses stamp against that background and the sentiment. I think it's just such a pretty design, and you really could mass produce this like super quick. Okay, so those sequins are on and this card is completely finished. Look at how easy this was, but this card has such an impact because I think anytime you use vellum or acetate, it just hops your card up a couple levels. So I love how this turned out. I think it is so, so pretty. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project and I hope that you feel inspired, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye!